Authorities today announcing that Anthony Warner is responsible for the bombing that rocked the city, laying out a timeline of how it happened and what comes next.
Local, state, and federal authorities have worked hand in hand in tandem around the clock since the incident, and it's paid off.
Based on the evidence that we've gathered to this point, we've come to the conclusion that an individual named Anthony Warner is the bomber, that he was present when the bomb went off, and that he perished in the bombing.
Some expert work by the Tennessee Highway Patrol subsequently uncovered a vehicle identification number from the remains of the suspect's RV that were positively matched to a vehicle registered to that individual.
Overnight, TBI forensic scientists processed evidence from the crime scene for DNA testing. The evidence was compared to evidence collected from a vehicle used by the person of interest in this case. Forensic scientists with TBI confirmed a match of the DNA at both locations.
Anthony Warner is the man believed to be responsible for this horrible crime. There is no indication presently that anyone else was involved in this crime. As I've said earlier and several times before, Nashville is considered safe. There are no known threats against this city.
We're still following leads, but right now there is no indication that any other persons were involved. We've reviewed hours of security video surrounding the recreational vehicle, as well as we saw no other people involved. We continue to ask that those who may have known the suspect or encountered him contact our team at the 1-800-CALL-FBI phone number. These pieces of information will help us understand the suspect's motives. So right now we're looking at any and all possible motives.
And authorities stop short of calling this a domestic act of terrorism as they work to uncover motive, and they hope details from the scene will help piece together that part of the investigation. And that is where we find News 2's Chelsea Bimfor, who has been following the story from the beginning for us. And Chelsea, what more have you learned about Warner?
Yeah, Alex, we'll get to that in just a second, but we wanted to show you a slightly different perspective tonight. We are at the corner of 4th and Commerce, only about a block up from where this explosion happened. You can see Metro Police still blocking off the scene. They've also installed this temporary fence here across 4th Avenue, across Commerce Street, so that people in downtown can't just walk down and see the explosion site. Metro Police also announced earlier today they were extending the curfew through this area of downtown until noon tomorrow. That's when they'll start to open up some of these side streets and some of the businesses that have not been totally affected by the bombing. So as you mentioned, we've been following updates about Mr. Warner today. Here's what we've learned from neighbors.
I don't know who lived there. We never talked to those neighbors.
I only saw him about once or twice maybe, and I never even saw his face.
Neighbors on Bakertown Road say they hardly knew Anthony Warner. He mostly stayed to himself.
No, I never even saw him much, just like maybe once or twice when he was power washing. He would always be power washing for some reason.
Law enforcement hasn't released many details either about the 63-year-old man they say is responsible for imploding part of downtown Nashville on Christmas morning, including why he would do this.
That's still all early in the investigation right now.
Multiple unnamed law enforcement sources tell ABC News that investigators are looking seriously at whether Warner may have been motivated by paranoia over 5G cell phone technology and if the AT&T building was his intended target. We also know Warner deeded his longtime Antioch home to a Los Angeles woman last month. Property records show the transfer was mysteriously made for $0. Investigators have not publicly discussed who this woman is or if she's involved in the investigation.
So still a long way to go in the investigation, but a much calmer scene out here tonight. Now, we did want to show you some video that we got earlier this evening showing the explosion from a different angle. This video we're going to show you is from the First Baptist Church just a few blocks from here. Their rooftop camera faces Broadway and Bridgestone Arena and captured the blast, which you should be able to see in the top left corner of that video. It is showing a huge orange ball of light and flames. It sounds like we didn't have that video, but we'll try to show that to you later. You can always find it on WKRN.com. Alex, back to you in the studio.